Hi, this is Lisa with creativecanines.blogspot.com for Simply Scrapping and Crafts. This is video lesson number 12, using Copics to color on material. Now I'm using some special material today. It's a canvas, but it's also adhesive backed. I purchased an online scrap supplier. You can also just use plain canvas, but because I'm using a digital stamp, I was able to run this through my laser printer and it came out okay. I was a little worried about the laser printer part, but not a problem. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you some techniques on how to color a material. I'm going to be making this a tag to put on a tote bag that I made. This is a Mel Jens design. It's a new one for Memorial Day. And I'm going to start with markers for my dove. I'm going to use E53, E50, and E51. Now I'm not going to be blending a whole lot on this because the markers do bleed. You can color a wide variety of surfaces with your Copics. What I'm going to do is, I like the Mel Jens designs too because they have like a nice hint for people. There's actually the lines where the blending should be, or where the highlights and the lowlights should be. I like that, especially when I'm doing something like this where I don't have the time to color it in. It has to be done rather quickly because of the material. As I said, the material will bleed, and usually it will depend on what color you're using, and you can see it kind of bleeds out of the line. So I just color close to the lines, and not going to use a typical blending technique. I'm just kind of going over it a little bit. I might go over it with a little bit of a circular motion. I can't use too much ink, because if you do use too much ink, what happens is it starts to bleed out the lines and you ruin it. And it gets a little frustrating after you've done it a few times. I'm trying to make this look a little bit rustic. I'm going to focus more on my E50. That was E51 that I put in there. I love this combination. I think the E50, 51, 53 is a great combination for a lot of things. Once again, because you're coloring on fabric, your colorless blender will not work, so you just kind of have to take what you get and go with it. And the simpler the images, the better, especially when you're trying to get this technique down. Okay, now I'm going to do his little wings. Originally I had wanted to color red on the stars, but there's no amount of red that won't bleed out, unfortunately. And that's what I was finding over and over again. No matter what order I used my red, it kept bleeding through on the material. I like coloring on material. It's fun. There's some really cool fabric books. I don't know if you've ever looked at the Donna Downey books. Those are really awesome. She does like a canvas backed scrapbook, like a mini scrapbook, which are awesome. Also, she also has these really cool, and I'll have to post them. She has some really cool bags, and I made a camera bag and a tote bag, a messenger kind of bag, that these kind of stamps look really great on. You can add these on here. I used a lot of stuff on mine from my Cricut machine. But these are a lot of fun. And I wanted to make kind of a tag that would go on my tote bags I made to, you know, something that would last. Okay. Go ahead and go into the little feathers. Once again, I'm not spending a whole lot of time blending, because if I did, it would be bleeding outside the lines. Also, I want to use a very, very, very light touch when I'm adding my marker. Barely any pressure to the material whatsoever. All the rage right now is using material on your cards, and I have used a lot for like flourishes while I'll cut out a material that I have left over. But you can also add, you know, a stamp that you put on their material. It's really kind of, it's kind of a cool look. I have made, I wouldn't say quilting, but I have made a couple blocks and stamped these onto and used them for a real simple tote bag that I did a long time ago when I first started out with the markers. And I made a little apron for my husband for Father's Day. It had a little barbecue guy on it. Turned out pretty cute. But those kind of things that you can put on there. The Copics are somewhat washable. I'm going to say somewhat because they will fade a little bit over time. They are cute if you like to do a onesie, if you have any children or grandchildren that age. My daughter's 14. She probably would no longer appreciate a onesie. Although Panda would probably really love it. That dog loves to dress up, which is probably more information than you want to know. So I'm just adding in my lightest color, the E50, once again very quick. You also want to make sure, and I say this with my airbrush too, is that you may want to have a refill on hand. Because some of these things really suck up the ink. Now I'm going to go ahead and go with my R20, and I'm going to use R20 for my little cheeks here. And so you see it kind of looks like too pink. So I'm going to go over it real lightly with my E50 just to kind of yellow it up a little bit because this is a really yellow color. All right, I'm going to clean the end of my marker off, go back, place I'm seeing any kind of fibers that are still sticking out without color. Now some of this I kind of like, that it's a little bit uneven because it really lends itself to the rusticness of it. Now I picked some other colors. I really wanted red stars. It just wasn't going to happen. I'm going to go ahead and use blue, which are our denim colors, B95, 93, 91. And once again, I'm not coloring up to the line. I'm coloring away from the line until I see how much these colors are going to bleed. And it really doesn't matter. I've noticed it doesn't matter the amount of solvent in them. A lot of times, you know, the solvent color will make a difference. Actually, some of the other colors, you know, for some reason or other, they just bleed a lot. The reds are just, they're terrible on material. I mean, it can be done, but I lack the patience for it today. I'm not going to lie. It's been a tiring day. Okay, coloring in. I'm still working from lightest to darkest. It's in part not to overblend, because overblending will give you a big blob and a chance to restart over your project, which I frankly don't enjoy doing. Okay, I'm going to add, I'm thinking, not sure, add a little Y12 for my beak here. Once again, I'm not doing a whole lot of blending. I'm going to go in with, I'm thinking greens because I can't do my red. Am I whiny enough about the red yet? Or orange, I'm not sure. Okay, I'm going to do YG 25, 23, 21. I'll tell you what, there isn't much I don't color with YG colors. Those are my favorites. I have almost every one of them. I love a good green. You know what? YG23 and YG25 are so similar. I'm just going to go in with my YG21. You'll find that sometimes. You'll say, why are they on there? They're so similar. Okay, that green's looking good. I'm liking the green. Might be a little too bright, but you know, have I mentioned I can't get the red I want? Sorry. Being very whiny. Okay, I'm going to go back in with my blue. Let's move the blue up here. I'm kind of making this up as I go along. I'm going to go in, instead of using a middle color, I'm just going to go with the B91, B95 right to B91, just because there's just not a whole lot of room in the small star for a middle color, and I could very easily goof it up at this point, and I don't want to goof it up. I'm so close to being done. Now you can also, I mean, if you have an image that lends itself well, you can use stickles on material. You can use all kinds of other things on material. Now I just made a mistake and colored that blue in there. And I will add my green back on top. No one will ever know it's our secret. Okay, I think I'm going to add one more blue over there. I guess I could have used yellow. Que sera, right? I don't know why it didn't possess me to use yellow, but I didn't want to use yellow. I don't like yellow. There it's out. And I'm not a particular fan of the red-violet colors either. I have to say. That's the truth. Alright, so there it is, more or less done. I'm probably going to add some little studs, rhinestone kind of thingies, and I will post my finished project along with my tote bag that I am incredibly proud of. So once again, this is Copic lesson 12 on how to use Copics on material.